So I'm going to talk to you now about lucid dream figures. What's the best way of interacting with the figures, the characters that we meet in lucid dreams? Some people think they're all figments of our imagination. And others think they're psychological projections. And still others think that sometimes these dream figures seem to have their own autonomous presence. No matter which way you look at it, an attitude of respect goes a long way because they have a lot to teach us. Dream figures have a lot to teach us. In a lucid dream, you can ask the dream figure directly why they're doing something. For example, if there's a sort of bouncer type in your dream and they're blocking the door and saying you're not allowed to come through, ask them why. You might get an answer from the bouncer, or you might get shown a different scene which will answer your question. But it's worth asking, worth talking to dream figures. Some dream figures seem highly conscious, and you recognize them, they stand out. Because sometimes when you go get lucid in a dream, there'll be a dream figure there and you'll have a chat with him, but you'll kind of have the impression he's a bit of a puppet, like you're kind of like he's saying exactly what you would expect him to say, you know? But there are other dream figures and they look at you and it's like, wow, they seem really conscious. Now these are the ones who are interesting to interact with and talk to and perhaps question. Now, when I was writing my novel, Breathing in Colour, I tried to meet some of my novel characters in my lucid dreams to find out more about them. And in lucid dreams, it's always possible that surprising things happen, which is part of the beauty of lucid dreaming. And in this dream, I found the artist in my novel, and I knew I was dreaming, and I started chatting to him, and I found out he was really worried about the protagonist in my novel because she was having a very hard time. And I said, "Oh, it's all right, everything will be all right in the end." And he said, "How do you know that? You may be the author, but you're not God." And I was like, oh. So, yeah, that was really interesting because it made me realise, okay, he already feels really protective of my main character. And even a bit more, I don't know, maybe there could be some romance, you know, and I hadn't got that far yet. And so I introduced an element of romance into the story, which I hadn't planned on doing. So it helped me with the plot development. Now, dream figures are not always people. For example, one of the early lucid dream figures that I met, it was a ball of light. And this happened at the end of a dream where I'd been flying. And I went back to my my dorm bedroom at university, and there was this huge orange ball of light that just materialized by my wardrobe. And I was like, wow, it had a really amazing presence, a sort of feminine presence. And without words, it spoke to me. And it said that it would always be there for me if I needed it. And then it gave me a magic word that I could use any time I needed its help. And it was just wonderful. And after a while it dissolved and I went flying off through the stars feeling incredibly happy. And when I woke up, I couldn't remember the magic word, which is a bit of a shame. Yeah, I should have woken up immediately and then written it down, but it was kind of a gobbledygook word, but never mind. And I'm going to tell you one of my lucid dreams where I met a dream figure who really seemed to be autonomous. You know, she seemed extremely conscious. I became lucid speaking in an auditorium, and I thought, oh, okay, this is a dream. And I looked around, and there was this old woman standing over there, and she looked at me with like a really conscious gaze. And I was like, okay. And then she turned around and left the stage. I thought, okay. I followed her. And she took me into, she led me into this room where there were two kind of kind of like beds, like massage beds, you know, kind of high up, not proper sleeping beds. She went and got up on one and lay down like this and closed her eyes. And I was like, okay. So I got up on the other bed, lay down like that and closed my eyes. And she immediately went into this really deep meditation. And I just felt knocked right into a really deep meditation myself. I thought, wow, I'm in the presence of this extremely powerful meditator. And it was quite a difficult lucid dream for me in the end, because once we were in this deep meditative trance state, I was shown all sorts of images, which were quite disturbing, to do with me, to do with my personal life. And the images were not just visual, they were also tactile. Like one of them was a gravestone, a granite gravestone, and it came like on top of me like this and pressed me down, and I felt suffocated by it. It didn't last long, but I found that very disturbing. So she showed me all this stuff, and then afterwards I asked her, you know, what was that? She didn't answer me. And when I woke up, I worked with these images through lucid writing, which is my way of working with lucid dream imagery. And I realised these were kind of perhaps something to do with something that might happen in my life, an unexpected situation. And as it turned out, I realised I would need a lot of strength if this situation was coming to me. And as it turned out, those situations did happen in my life a few months later. And I needed more strength than I ever thought that I possessed to get through it. But I did manage to get through it. And I felt like in that lucid dream, it was like she'd given me a gift. She'd shown me a possible future, but she'd also shown me that I have the inner strength to get through it. So she was an amazing, very powerful lucid dream figure. So if you see a dream figure who seems particularly conscious, it's worth talking to them. It's worth interacting with them. They might have a big message for you.